Discover the amazing moment when one passenger transformed a life-changing crisis into hope. Kayla sat hunched over on the city bus, clinging to her backpack like it was a lifeline. Just weeks ago, her world had crumbled when the factory shut its doors, leaving her grasping for stability in the heart of Chicago. Life, with its relentless demands, loomed over her like the dark clouds gathering outside. Resilience was her armor, but today, even that felt worn thin. Her 2 children were a constant reminder of the urgent need to find new ground to stand on. With a family reunion drawing near, she decided to embark on this journey to her grandmother's small town, hoping perhaps the change of scenery might ignite a flicker of hope. As the bus rumbled down the road, the atmosphere felt heavy, pregnant with unspoken fears. Glances were exchanged, each one carrying burdens of loss, domestic struggles, and the weight of expectation. Kayla noticed Sam, a weathered man sitting across the aisle. His eyes told stories of battles fought and demons faced. Curiosity flickered within her. She offered a warm smile, and against the backdrop of anxiety, it lit up the air like fireworks in a dark night. "Lost your job too?" she inquired, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. He shot a glance her way, the silence wrapped around them like a familiar blanket. Slowly, he opened up about his past in the military, a world where things often spiraled beyond control, leaving behind scars that lingered far longer than the battles themselves. Their conversation became an anchor amidst the waves of anxiety surrounding them. The atmosphere transformed with every word exchanged, laughter rose like a buoy against the rising tide of fear. But just then, disaster struck. The bus lurched to a halt, tires screeching against asphalt as panic rippled through the passengers. A multi-car accident on the highway had halted their journey towards safety. Fear danced in the eyes of those around her, and murmurs of dread filled the confined space. Kayla's heart raced, but then she found herself breathing deep, rallying her thoughts. "We can do this together. Lean on each other," she called out, her voice strong and unwavering, a beacon in the storm. The passengers, strangers moments before, rallied around her, exchanging stories, forming a fragile bond in the chaos. Just when they thought they might find solace, Sam dropped a bombshell. "I'm on my way to support local families, just like yours," he said, vulnerability spilling from his lips. Shock washed over the passengers. This quiet man was more than a stranger, he was a lifeline in their community, embodying hope where despair too often resided. The walls of assumption began to crumble, exposing the shared humanity underneath. As they pressed onward, the storm outside waned, but the real shift was inside the bus. Kayla saw the transformations around her, people facing their anxieties head-on, letting go of their preconceived notions. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The bus sped toward her grandmother's town, but they were no longer just passengers, they were a community. Hope sparked anew, igniting the possibility of futures transformed. What lies ahead? Would they bind themselves together against the storms of life, or would old fears shackle them once again? As the bus approached their destination, unity became their silent promise amid the uncertainty. Each face was lit with a resilience that whispered, "This is just the beginning." As the bus finally rolled into the quaint little town, Kayla's heart thumped louder than ever. Familiar landscapes flashed by, rows of cozy homes, flowering gardens, and the big oak tree she used to climb as a kid. Nostalgia mixed with anxiety, each sight coaxing memories from her past. She squeezed her backpack tighter, a silent prayer woven into the fabric. "Next stop, Grandma's," the driver announced, breaking the spell. The energy on the bus buzzed like a live wire. Passengers shifted in their seats, excitement bubbling at the edges, mingling with the anxiety that had tethered them throughout the journey. Kayla exchanged glances with Sam. His quiet strength had steadied her in those moments of fear. "You coming to the reunion?" she asked, curiosity shining in her eyes. "No, I have a few things to sort out," he replied, his gaze distant for a heartbeat before focusing back on her. "But keep that fire alive, Kayla. There's strength in gathering." With a warm smile, she nodded. His words nestled in her heart, a reminder of the unexpected connections they had forged in crisis. The bus came to a stop, and the sound of the door hissing open echoed her own uncertainty. "Time to go," she whispered to herself, stepping into the sunlight that poured down, washing over her like a warm hug. Immediately, sounds rushed at her: the laughter of children, the distant bark of a dog, and the rustle of summer leaves. It felt like stepping into a painting, vibrant and full of life. Her grandmother's house was just a few blocks away. Kayla took a deep breath, shaking her nerves off like rain from an umbrella. She could see her family gathering at the front lawn, all dressed in their Sunday best, their faces lit with bright smiles of recognition. "Mama! Mommy!" Her kids squealed, running toward her with arms wide open. They hugged her like she was their superhero, their excitement momentarily overshadowing her worries. "Hey, my loves!" she said, kneeling to embrace them. Their giggles vibrated with pure joy, a sound she could never tire of. But as the warm embrace of family enveloped her, doubt began to creep in. Would they all accept her new reality? The uncertainty of her job loss and the struggles of keeping the family afloat loomed like a cloud, threatening to tarnish her fragile happiness. "Kayla!" Her grandmother's voice broke through the noise, beckoning her closer. "There's so much food. You have to try the potato salad." As they sat down together, around a long table laden with dishes, laughter echoed against the backdrop of tales from the past. They shared stories, the bond growing stronger with each shared memory. But deep down, Kayla couldn't shake the feeling that her life had shifted irreversibly. Every cheerful laugh felt intertwined with the weight of her current troubles. As the sun began to dip behind the horizon, casting a golden glow, Kayla caught a glimpse of Sam walking down the street, his figure silhouetted against the fading light. He paused, waved, and she felt a warmth blossom inside her. He was a reminder, a fleeting moment of connection, a lifeline in the storm. Just then, her aunt leaned over. "You seem different, Kayla. What happened on the ride? You look radiant." Her heart raced, caught between the urge to share her struggles and the instinct to protect her family from worry. "Just met some incredible people," she finally said, her smile brightening. "And I realized something important." "What is that?" her grandmother asked, leaning closer with a knowing expression. With the sticky warmth of summer in the air, with her kids laughing and her family surrounding her, Kayla took a deep breath, a wave of hope washing over her. But just as she opened her mouth to speak, the ominous buzz of her phone interrupted a message from Sam. "Are you ready for the next step? We have something to discuss. Meet me at the park tomorrow." A shiver ran down her spine. What could that mean? "Everything okay?" Her grandmother's gentle voice brought her back. "Yeah, just some things to think about." But deep inside, she wondered what future lay ahead. Would she be brave enough to take the next step? She looked around, at her family, her children, and recalled Sam's words of encouragement. Whatever tomorrow brought, it was beginning to feel like hope was igniting within her again. One step at a time, she told herself. But as she watched the starry sky come alive above them, she couldn't help but wonder what would that next step demand of her. The next morning dawned with a bright sun spilling golden light across the town. Kayla awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside the window, their cheerful songs a stark contrast to the gnawing anxiety that had settled in her stomach. She sat up slowly, her mind drifting back to the message from Sam, replaying his words like a song stuck on repeat. What did he want to discuss? What was the next step? Her kids were still sleeping, their faces tucked into soft pillows, innocent and peaceful. She took a moment to bask in their tranquility, closing her eyes to soak it all in. It was moments like these that made everything worthwhile. But how could she move forward when her past lingered like a shadow over her? After a quick breakfast filled with laughter and the clatter of dishes, Kayla gathered her children and her courage for the day. "I'll be back soon," she told them as she stepped outside, a hint of hesitation in her voice. It felt like leaving them was another small step in shedding her fears. The walk to the park was familiar but different, as if the paths now held new meanings. Each step echoed in her heart, a rhythmic reminder that she was taking charge of her life. The playful laughter of children filled the air, but her thoughts remained clouded. Was she ready for whatever Sam had in store? The park came into view, a welcoming oasis of green that felt alive with possibility. As she approached, she spotted Sam sitting on a bench beneath a sprawling tree. He looked up and smiled, a mixture of warmth and earnestness reflected in his eyes. "Hey, I'm glad you came," he said, standing to greet her. "Yeah, I wanted to hear what you had to say," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves. Sam motioned for her to sit, and as they settled down side by side, she felt the gentle breeze brushing against her skin like a whisper promising change. "I know you've been through a lot lately," he began, his tone serious but kind. "But I really believe there's an opportunity that could help you." Kayla's breath caught in her throat. "What kind of opportunity?" He leaned in, his eyes lighting up with passion. "There's a community project about to kick off. It needs someone with your skills. It's like a fresh start, a chance to reconnect with your roots and make a difference." Hope flickered inside her, but skepticism washed over it like a tide. "But what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail again?" "Failure isn't the end, Kayla. It's part of the journey," he reassured her, a calming presence amid her tempest of worry. "You've already taken the hardest step by even considering this." She pondered his words. The fear of failure lingered, but wasn't staying stuck also a kind of failure? A gust of wind rustled the leaves overhead, and for a moment, she felt a shift not just in the air, but within herself. "Okay," she exhaled, the word almost escaping her before she realized it. "I'll think about it. But what if I don't know where to start?" "Just start with your heart. You're not alone in this," he said, his gaze intensifying. "And you don't have to have all the answers right now. Just tell your story, Kayla. That's where the real connection begins." As Sam spoke, she felt the weight of her worries lift, if only a little. Maybe this wasn't just about a job, it was about finding her voice in a world that had grown too quiet. And the thought felt liberating. They talked a bit longer, sharing ideas and dreams, and by the end, Kayla realized that the path ahead, though rocky, didn't seem so daunting anymore. "Thanks, Sam," she said sincerely, standing up from the bench. "You've given me a lot to think about today." He smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling with a shared understanding. "Just remember, you're not alone." As she turned to leave, an unexpected surge of excitement pulsed through her. She felt lighter, as if something within had shifted, almost like a spark lighting a fire. With each step, her resolve grew stronger, the ground firm under her feet. But just as she prepared to cross the street, her phone buzzed again, a new message flashing on the screen. Her heart raced as she read the words telling her that the community meeting would take place sooner than expected. It felt like everything was moving too fast. What came next? Would she be ready to embrace this change, to write a new chapter despite her fears? As she stepped forward, her heart beating in rhythm with a new hope, she couldn't shake the nagging question in her mind: would she brave this new opportunity and finally transform her life? Kayla stood on the curb, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. The screen glowed like a beacon, illuminating the uncertainty swirling within her. The message about the community meeting echoed in her mind, mixing anticipation with a fresh wave of apprehension. She felt as if she were standing on the edge of a cliff, staring at the dizzying height below, unsure whether to leap or retreat. Taking a deep breath, she stepped back onto the sidewalk. The warm sun wrapped around her, and for a moment, it calmed her, reminding her of why she'd considered this in the first place. It wasn't just about taking on a project, it was about rediscovering who she was meant to be outside of her fears. The thought stirred something deep within her. Moving away from the street, she made her way towards a nearby coffee shop, a familiar spot where she used to escape with a book or chat with friends. The rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloped her as she entered. Moments later, she found herself at the counter, placing an order for a steaming latte. As she waited, the barista, a young woman with vibrant red hair, smiled warmly. "You look like you just got some good news," she said, a sparkle of enthusiasm in her eyes. Kayla hesitated. Should she share? But something about the stranger's warmth urged her to admit, "I think I might have just found a new opportunity to connect with my community." "That's amazing!" the barista exclaimed, and Kayla felt a thrill at the easy acceptance. "What's the project about?" "Oh, well, it's just starting up, really. I might be involved in helping organize some events. It's daunting, and I have no idea if I can pull it off." With a comforting smile, the barista handed over the drink. "You can do it. Sometimes, the doubts are what hold us back. Just take one step at a time." Kayla wrapped her hands around the warm cup, drawing courage from its comfort. "Thanks, I really needed that," she said gratefully, feeling a little more fortified as she moved toward the door. Stepping outside, she took a sip of her latte, the rich taste igniting her senses. The world felt different now. Chatter from passing strangers, the laughter of children playing in the park, it all felt more vivid and filled with possibility. She wasn't just moving through her day, she was stepping into a life that was waiting for her. Using the small break in her schedule, she decided to send Sam a quick text. "Just got the message about the community meeting. I'm in. When do we meet?" Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, hesitating before hitting send. There was no turning back now. As she waited for a response, she felt her phone buzz. Sam's name flashed on the screen. "Awesome. We need passionate people like you. Meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m. at the community center. Let's make this happen." Her heart raced. Tomorrow? Could she really dive in that quickly? Thoughts swirled in her head again. What if everyone else just seemed so confident and she felt lost? But another part of her whispered that this is what she had wanted. To embrace the chaos instead of shielding herself from it. Living genuinely, not just existing. She looked around. The sun was beginning to dip low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue across the town. There was beauty in letting go, she realized beauty in being vulnerable enough to step into the unknown. Taking a deep breath, she resolved, "I will go." She repeated it softly to herself as if affirming a promise. This time, it felt different. Her own voice was becoming stronger than her doubts. But deep down, a flicker of unease stirred. Would she really be able to show up as her whole self? Would she let the past hold her back or find a way to embrace it? With thoughts swirling and her heart racing in anticipation, Kayla turned to head home, grateful to face whatever awaited her, yet curious about how this journey would unfold. Would she step into this new role or retreat into her old habits? Caught between hope and fear, she wondered, how would tomorrow change everything? The morning sun poured in through Kayla's bedroom window, brightening the space and dispelling the remnants of her restless night. She lay still, staring at the ceiling, feeling a mix of excitement and dread twist in her stomach. Today was the day the community meeting would reveal if she could truly step out of her shell. With determined breaths, she swung her legs over the edge of the bed and stood up. The creaky floorboard beneath her feet felt like a metaphor for her own uncertainties. Each morning felt like a crossroads, and today was no different. As she showered, she caught glimpses of herself in the mirror, each bubble of water threatening to wash away her fear. By the time she made coffee, the aroma of the brewing beans mixed with anticipation. Her usual morning ritual felt electric. Kayla allowed herself a moment to breathe in the smell. What if today led to something profound, she thought. Something that might finally ignite her passion for community and creativity. She put on a comfortable blouse and her favorite jeans, aiming to balance casual with polished. She wanted to look approachable, but confident too. A quick glance in the mirror showed not only the outfit but also a flicker of determination in her eyes. Maybe she could really be part of something bigger. As the clock ticked closer to the meeting time, anxiety gripped her. Her mind danced from one worry to another. What if she made a fool of herself? What if they expected more from her than she could give? Each thought piled onto the last, threatening to suffocate her enthusiasm. Just then, her phone buzzed again. A reminder flashed, "Be there for 5 p.m. You got this." Encouraged by the simple text, Kayla grabbed her things and stepped outside, the fresh air brushing against her skin like a warm hug. The day had blossomed into one of those idyllic late afternoons, golden rays spilling across the streets and inviting the world to play. As she approached the community center, she noticed a cluster of vibrant flyers pinned up outside, announcing various events. Music, art, games, each corner reflected creativity and a sense of belonging. The moment she stepped inside, her senses were overwhelmed. The chatter of conversation, the bustle of enthusiastic individuals, everything was more alive than she had expected. Kayla hovered by the entrance, her heart racing. She spotted Sam across the room, surrounded by a few others who looked equally motivated. But instead of bounding up to them, she hesitated, her instinct to retreat bubbling up anew. "Hey, Kayla." Sam's voice broke through her inner turmoil like a lifeline. He waved her over, shining with enthusiasm. She forced her feet to move, pushing through the crowd until she reached him. "Hey, I made it," she said, trying for a light tone though her stomach twisted. "This is great. Look at all these people ready to jump in," he grinned, his enthusiasm contagious. "Yeah." She glanced around, taking in the energy. But the thought of speaking up still felt like a mountain looming in front of her. "I guess we should dive right in," Sam added. "We'll break into brainstorming groups in a bit." Kayla managed a smile, but deep down, she was still grappling with the swirling doubts. In that moment, one of the leaders announced they would start the first round of introductions. Her heart thudded painfully. What if she couldn't say what needed to be said? What if they all saw right through her facade? "Just remember," Sam whispered, nudging her lightly. "No one is perfect. We're all here to figure this out together." His reassurance sparked hope, but uncertainty still fluttered within her. Did she truly belong here? Just as the introductions began, she clenched her palms together, whispering to herself, "I can do this." As the first person spoke, detailing an inspiring past project, Kayla's pulse quickened. Maybe their stories would help shape hers. She found herself leaning forward, focused and intent. But just as she was about to feel that comforting connection, would something unexpected challenge her resolve? The leader pointed right at her and asked, "Kayla, do you want to share?" Panic surged. Time slowed. What would she say? Kayla's mind raced. The room had grown quiet, all eyes turning her way. Her throat felt dry as desert sand. She blinked, hoping that a wave of inspiration would crash over her. But instead, she felt like a deer in headlights, frozen and exposed. Was all that escaped her lips. She wanted to crawl into a hole, vanish from sight, but she fought against that instinct. Sam's encouraging smile encouraged her, but her heart fluttered like a trapped butterfly. "Take a deep breath," she whispered to herself, focusing on the warmth of the supportive atmosphere surrounding her. "You can do this. Maybe just tell us a little about yourself." The leader prompted gently, sensing her hesitation. He had kind eyes that seemed to say it was okay to be nervous. Kayla took a breath that was shaky yet grounding. "Okay. My name is Kayla," she started. "I've lived in this community for a long time," but her voice wavered. She looked down for a brief moment, steadying herself. "I never really felt like I truly connected. I mean, I've always watched from the sidelines." The crowd remained silent, their expressions shifting from curiosity to understanding. Taking heart from the nods and smiles, she pushed forward. I've been inspired by everyone here. And I guess I want to change that. I want to be part of this, to help and create. A flicker of hope sparked inside her. The words flowed a little easier. I don't have all the answers, but I'm here to learn. And honestly, it terrifies me. A soft murmur of laughter rippled through the group, gentle, empathetic. That's what we're all here for. Someone chimed in, and it felt like a warm embrace. Kayla took that warmth, wrapping it around herself like a blanket. It was comforting. So I'm excited for this chance, and I hope I can contribute somehow. A friendly smile spread across the leader's face. Thank you, Kayla. It took courage to share. And that journey to connection starts with just one step. As she finished speaking, a rush of exhilaration surged within her. The room relaxed, the tension slowly dissolving as others began to introduce themselves. Each story unfolding was a thread weaving them all into a tapestry. Kayla felt lighter now. She turned to Sam, who nodded enthusiastically. See? You did it. I really did, she said, surprise and pride washing over her. It felt like the tight grip of fear had loosened, allowing a flicker of possibility to shine through. As the meeting continued, brainstorming sessions were filled with laughter, ideas, and the thrill of potential. Kayla's heart swelled at the thought of the friendships forming, and the projects blossoming. But just as she was starting to feel a sense of belonging, the conversation shifted. One participant mentioned a community project that involved a risky renovation of the old library, a place close to Kayla's heart. She felt a tug within her, a mix of concern and desire. What if the project risked changing everything she loved about it? Wait, she interjected, her voice firmer than before. We should think about how much that library means to us. It has history and memories. What if we lose that? The room fell silent again, and Kayla's heart raced. Was she overstepping? But instead of rejection, she saw nods of agreement. Sam leaned closer, looking impressed. What a great point, he said, prompting others to weigh in. Her thoughts pulsated with renewed energy. Maybe it was the beginning of something beautiful, a moment where her voice truly mattered. But as ideas bounced around the room, an unsettling thought emerged. Would her fear of change overshadow their ambition for improvement? Feeling the warring sentiments inside, she wondered, what would she be willing to fight for, and at what cost? With the echoes of discussion surrounding her, the next question lingered in the air: could she navigate this new space and still protect what she loved most? Kayla's heart drummed in her chest as she absorbed the different viewpoints around the room. She looked at the participants, confident yet tentative, each one navigating their own fears and dreams. The enthusiasm was contagious, but Kayla couldn't shake the worry that tightened in her stomach. Change often brings discomfort, and the idea of losing the beloved library felt like an impending storm. Maybe we could incorporate the library's history into the renovations, someone suggested, breaking the momentary silence. Kayla glanced at Sam, who was nodding along. There were ways to blend the old with the new. The fear of change started to ebb as visions of possibilities flooded her mind. Yes, she chimed in, feeling the sense of urgency lift. What if we created a community mural inside, showcasing its history? We could hold events that celebrate the past while welcoming new stories. A spark ignited among the group as heads nodded in agreement. Excitement built, and Kayla could feel energy coursing through the room. Suddenly, she wasn't just an observer, she was a player in this vibrant game of shared dreams. As ideas filled the air, Kayla's doubts became whispers. She focused on the ways they could intertwine preservation and progress, an emotional dance that could honor both worlds. Every suggestion brought her closer to a sense of belonging. We could also have a reading nook with photos from the library's early days, another participant added. Yes. Or maybe even a timeline in the main hall that tells the library's story. Sam exclaimed, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. The group buzzed with ideas, voices overlapping in a chorus of hope. Kayla felt the joy bubble within her. The library didn't have to stay frozen in time, it could evolve while still holding its heart. But then, an unexpected voice spoke up from the corner of the room. But what about the cost? Renovations can be expensive, and financially, we are already stretched thin. The tone shifted again, and Kayla felt that familiar thread of anxiety tighten in her chest. What if their dreams faced financial reality? What if all this excitement spiraled into disappointment? The positivity she felt just moments ago wrestled with uncertainty. She took a deep breath, eyes pooling with determination. Maybe we can start with a fundraising campaign. Engage the community in creative ways to show them how much this means to us. The leader smiled, impressed. That's a fantastic idea, Kayla. We can involve local businesses, host events, maybe even a crowdsourcing campaign online. Let's get everyone invested in this project. A wave of relief washed over her. Encouraged, she thought about the relationships being formed, the people who might step forward in support. That hope flickered again, bright and unwavering. Just as the conversation shifted toward logistics, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It startled her. She pulled it out, glancing at the screen. Something about the name on the caller ID sent a jolt of anxiety through her. Her mom. Aren't you going to answer? Sam nudged her, a knowing smile on his face. I should. She felt torn, a connection to her roots battling against the surge of new life before her. Could one phone call change everything? With a look of determination, she stood a little taller and pressed the answer button. Hello. She said, bracing herself for the unexpected. Kayla. Her mother's voice crackled with urgency. We need to talk. Something happened, an invisible weight settled on her shoulders, filling her with dread. She could feel the room fading away as her heart raced. What could it be? As she listened, fear wrapped around her like a vice. This could be the moment everything shifted for better or worse, and she had a choice to make. Stay and fight for her newfound community or step back into the swirling unknown of her past. The tension built, and she realized she had to address the storm inside her. Would she stay true to herself and her dreams or retreat to the comfort of familiar chaos? One thing was clear, everything was about to change, and Kayla had to decide what that change would look like. Kayla's pulse raced as her mom's voice flooded through the phone, her words sharp and urgent. I don't know how to say this, but your grandma is in the hospital. She's not doing well. A wave of shock washed over Kayla, drowning out the voices around her. The library, the mural, all those hopeful ideas began to blur. She could barely process the words. Grandma had always been her anchor, the one who told stories that brought magic to life. Suddenly, all of Kayla's dreams felt like shifting sand beneath her feet. I'm on my way, Kayla said, her voice steady but hollow, barely above a whisper. The room dimmed as her focus narrowed, trapping her in a whirlwind of emotions. Please hurry, Kayla. She's asking for you, her mother urged, the worry threading through every syllable. Kayla felt her stomach twist. Memories washed over her campfire nights, warm cookies shared, laughter echoing throughout the old house. Would she lose that? Her heart cracked just thinking about it. Sam's brow furrowed, concern etched on his face as he observed Kayla's reaction. Hey, is everything okay? But how could she answer that? She felt like a puppet with the strings suddenly cut. I need to go, she finally managed, her voice thick with emotion. Leaving the room felt surreal. Each step took her away from the energy and hope they had kindled. The weight of opportunity was replaced by the heaviness of concern, as she stepped out into the world that suddenly felt colder. Kayla hopped into her car, hands trembling on the steering wheel. She fought against the flood of worry that threatened to pull her under. What was she driving toward? A hospital room filled with uncertainty, or perhaps the last moments she would share with someone who meant the world to her. The familiar roads blurred by, memories crowding her mind. The library vision felt like a distant echo against the impending reality. She wanted to push through, to find some resolution amid the chaos. But all she could think of was Grandma, and the thought filled her with fear. As she arrived at the hospital, the sterile scent of antiseptic hit her. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, harsh and stark. In her heart, dread coiled tightly. What if things had changed? What if she couldn't say goodbye properly? The nurse at the front desk looked up, her expression professional but kind. She mustered the strength to ask, "Which room is my grandma in?" "Room 203, the nurse replied, her voice gentle. Kayla nodded, her breath catching in her throat. As she walked down the corridor, she noticed the families gathered outside rooms. Some laughed softly, while others held each other tight. Each face told a story, some of hope, others of despair. Kayla felt the air grow heavier with every step. When she reached room 203, she hesitated, her hand hovering over the door handle. What if Grandma was too weak to recognize her? What if? But she couldn't let fear win. Taking a deep breath, Kayla pushed the door open. The sight of her grandmother startled her more than she anticipated. Soft blankets covered her frail body, and the machines around her beeped rhythmically, a constant reminder of the life that hung in balance. Grandma looked small, even fragile, through the lens of memories where she was always larger than life. Kayla. Her voice was a breathless whisper, but it stirred something deep inside. I'm here, Grandma, she said, stepping closer, her heart breaking at the sight. As their eyes met, a spark of recognition flickered in her grandmother's gaze. In that moment, despite the starkness of the hospital room, hope surged within Kayla. She leaned in, enveloped by warmth and love stronger than any uncertainty. Tell me about the library, Grandma urged, her voice filled with an urgency that contrasted the stillness in the room. But what if Kayla hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at her? Don't you dare. You need to fight for it, her grandmother insisted, a fierce glint igniting in her eyes. In that moment, something shifted inside Kayla. She understood that the importance of dreams extended beyond her. Maybe this moment with Grandma could spark something powerful. Maybe together they could weave a story that would inspire hope, a story that could live on, even in the face of adversity. Okay, Grandma. Let's talk about the library, Kayla said, her voice gaining strength. But as she began to share their plans, she realized that this conversation was only the beginning. In the warmth of her grandmother's presence, something inside her began to heal. Just then, her phone buzzed again, this time with a new text from Sam. We can still do this. Let us meet when you're ready. What did that mean for her journey ahead? Could she balance both worlds? The question lingered, heavy yet hopeful, as she poured her heart out to the woman who had always shown her how to dream. Kayla found herself pouring her heart out, sharing every detail about the library project she and Sam had envisioned. Each word sparked new energy as Grandma's eyes widened, drawing Kayla deeper into her own excitement. It's so much more than just a building, she explained, her words spilling forth with newfound vigor. It's about community, a place where people come together, share stories, and find hope. Grandma squeezed her hand, a weak but reassuring grip. That's what we need, a place where life can thrive, Kayla. You must make this happen. The weight of her grandmother's words settled in her chest, filling her with a deep sense of purpose. But as she spoke, the harsh beeping of machines seemed to remind her of the fragility of their moment together. Was this a dream or a farewell? Just as she opened her mouth to ask, a faint knock echoed from the door. Her mother slipped into the room, her face lined with worry. Kayla's heart sank. Is everything all right? She asked, instinctively moving closer to Grandma's bedside. We're doing our best, her mother replied softly, though her voice wavered. The doctors are saying that. She paused, glancing at Grandma, then back at Kayla. That we need to prepare ourselves. A chill coursed through Kayla. The shadows encroached again, threatening to drown her in despair. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "Not now. Not when we're just getting started." Grandma looked between them, sensing the shift in the air. "There is always hope," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. "These dreams, they are alive. No one can take those from us. Not even the dark." Kayla took a breath, a flicker of defiance igniting in her chest. "I refuse to accept this," she declared, and her mother looked at her, a mixture of admiration and concern in her eyes. "I'll show you both. I'll show everyone." Just then, her phone buzzed again, pulling her thoughts back to reality. The message from Sam blinked fiercely on the screen. "I believe in you, no matter what happens. Just remember that." Kayla glanced at her grandmother, her resolve crystallizing. "You're right. We can't let this moment be defined by fear. This is our time to fight." She saw the faintest smile cross Grandma's lips, and it filled her with warmth. With every word she shared about the library, Kayla could feel the magic weaving between them, a bond stronger than any hospital walls, more enduring than the uncertainty around them. "We could have a reading corner, maybe a garden outside." She painted the vision vividly, and Grandma's eyes sparkled, lighting up the room despite the clinical gloom surrounding them. But as Grandma's eyelids fluttered slowly, Kayla caught the subtle signs of exhaustion creeping over her. It was the balance between aspiration and the heartbreaking reality. "Just hold on a bit longer," Kayla pleaded softly, "I'm going to make it all happen." As if sensing the vulnerability of the moment, her mother took a step closer. "I'll help you too, Kayla," she offered, their eyes connecting in a rare moment of understanding. "We can do this together." Yet, deep down, Kayla worried. With every second spent in this hospital, part of her feared that she might be losing her anchor. What if the reality of life and death clashed with her dreams before she even had a chance? As she continued to share her vision with renewed energy, a nurse came in and adjusted Grandma's fore. "We're just keeping her comfortable," she said gently, glancing at Grandma with compassion. "But it's important to let her rest." "Okay," Kayla nodded, even as her heart raced. There was so much more to say. The nurse acknowledged her understanding. "You can continue this talk anytime, sweetheart. Tell her those stories. They're what she needs." Taking a deep breath, Kayla focused on her grandmother, instinctively knowing there was not much time left. "Grandma, let us make a promise. No matter what happens, you'll always be my inspiration. You'll be part of every story we tell." Tears glistened in Grandma's eyes, and she whispered, always, before her eyelids drifted shut. Kayla's heart shattered a little at the sight, yet a spark still flickered within her. As she glanced to her phone, a reflection of the message from Sam echoed in her mind, pulling her back to the possibilities ahead. Can I really do it? She wondered silently, a weighty question lingering in the air. The answer seemed to pulse with every beat of her heart. Could she turn this crisis into not just a fight for her dreams, but a moment of transformation for both her and Grandma? The room felt thick with anticipation, and as Kayla steeled herself for the journey ahead, she realized there was no turning back. What would it take for her to truly believe in the magic that remained? And who else would she affect along the way? Kayla sat beside her grandmother, the sterile hospital room heavy with both emotion and the faint beeping of machines. This was not how she envisioned their final conversation. She had hoped for laughter, for sharing dreams that would intertwine their lives, but now uncertainty loomed over every word. But as she looked into her grandma's eyes, she realized something profound. This moment, no matter how fragile, could still be transformed into a spark of hope. "Today, I will fight for your dreams," she said, determination hardening her voice. "The library will honor your legacy and the love you've given our family." Her grandmother's eyes shimmered as she whispered, "Promise me you'll take it to heart, Kayla. You're the heart of this family. Share our stories with the world." That small voice of encouragement would be etched in her mind forever, a reminder of the strength that lived in her grandmother, even in this vulnerable moment. Tears stung her eyes, yet she held them back. "I promise." As the days passed, Kayla's life transformed in ways she never anticipated. Between hospital visits, she dove headfirst into organizing the community project. The library was more than bricks and mortar, it was a living piece of art grounded in love, and she wanted to honor it with everything she had. In the following days, the community rallied behind her. Together, they envisioned vibrant murals, storytelling events, and a family garden. Ideas flowed, and excitement bubbled in ways that felt almost magical. Sam became her steadfast partner, each brainstorming session reinforcing the connections they had built. But even as hope blossomed, worry entwined itself around her heart. Her visits to the hospital became a mix of determination and sorrow. Every day, she saw Grandma's strength shrinking, yet the flame of her inspiration flickered brighter than ever. One evening, she crashed onto her couch, exhaustion washing over her. Images of the library danced in her mind, plans filled with colors and laughter. But a text from her mom reminded her of the stark reality: the hospital, the machines, and her grandmother's frail voice. Kayla's heart sank, but she steeled herself. "Be the voice she needs," she muttered softly to herself. The next day, after a grueling meeting filled with passionate discussions, she found herself standing in front of Grandma's hospital room, heart pounding. She pushed the door open, ready to share the vibrant vision they had created together. "Grandma, you won't believe what we're doing," she exclaimed. The sunlight poured in, illuminating the room with a warmth that melted away the cold sterility. For a moment, her grandmother smiled, and it felt like an eternity. As Kayla recounted their plans, the mural, community events, and how generations would come together to celebrate the love for the library, she saw something remarkable light up in Grandma's eyes. Each story was another thread weaving the fabric of their lives and deepening the connection to their roots. "When can we start?" Grandma whispered, her voice faint but filled with longing. "We'll start as soon as you're ready," Kayla replied, sensing the urgency of the moment. "Together, we'll do this. For you." Hours turned into days, and amidst the vibrant project overflowing with community spirit, her grandmother's condition took a turn. Each visit became a bittersweet embrace. As her grandmother lay still, Kayla held her hand, whispering stories of the library and the transformations blossoming outside. "Remember, Grandma? You taught me that love conquers all. You'll always be part of this," she said firmly, squeezing her hand. It was there, between the fragile breaths, that Grandma's gentle smile radiated a warmth that transcended their surroundings. One fateful morning, Kayla received a call. Her mother's voice trembled on the line. Grandma had passed peacefully in her sleep, finally free. Kayla felt a chasm open in her chest. Grief washed over her, but in the depths of that sorrow was the unwavering tide of love that her grandmother had poured into her life. With tears streaming down her face, she realized that her grandmother's legacy would carry on through the library and the community they had ignited together. The next steps were clear. She wouldn't stop fighting, she would honor that love, channeling it into action. As the library renovation project began, Kayla felt the spirit of her grandmother guiding her every step. The community poured their hearts into it, advocating fiercely for funding while bringing families together through events filled with laughter, art, and story sharing. The day of the library's grand reopening felt electric with anticipation. Every face held a mix of excitement and nostalgia. Kayla stood at the entrance, surrounded by familiar smiles, and as she looked across the sea of faces, she felt her grandmother's presence, a warm light echoing through her heart. When she cut the ribbon, cheers erupted around her, a wave of warmth washing over the crowd. In that moment, she understood that their stories would continue to inspire, connect, and ignite hope. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her heart, intertwining their legacies forever. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where connection, love, and community triumphed over adversity. Kayla was ready to carry the torch forward, celebrating not only her grandmother's life but a new life fueled by dreams and hope. And as she turned to the community gathered around her, she knew one thing for certain: they were a family bound by more than blood. They were woven together in a tapestry of shared love, history, and future. Kayla smiled brightly, her heart swelling with a mix of joy and bittersweetness. Here they were, together, nurturing a legacy that would outshine the trials they faced, illuminating the darkness with hope and connection. "Let us keep our stories alive," she called out, feeling the spirit of her grandmother cheering them on. Her heart, now full, said it all. This was just the beginning of something beautifully transformative. You need to subscribe now to never miss our next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find their own moments of transformation. Comment below your thoughts and reactions to this ending. What did it inspire in you? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the hope and love.